I recently played Astro Bot, and it's such a charming and fun platformer where you play as Astro Bot on a mission to rescue his crew who are scattered across different planets. It's a really joyful game, and it's full of creative level designs and clever gameplay mechanics. The platforming is super tight and responsive. It feels so good to run, jump, and hover around these colorful worlds. I loved collecting all the little Astro Bots. They're hidden everywhere, and finding them is a big part of the fun. The game looks fantastic too. It's bright and cheerful, and it really makes great use of the PlayStation features. Honestly, it's hard to find anything I didn't like about this game. Maybe if I had to nitpick, I'd say it's a little on the short side, but it's so consistently enjoyable that it doesn't really matter. It's a perfect game for anyone who loves platformers or just wants a lighthearted and fun experience. Black Ops 6 is a first-person shooter that continues the series' tradition of high-energy action, featuring an exciting campaign and a competitive multiplayer mode. The gunplay is as satisfying as ever, and the graphics are top-notch, really bringing the battlefield to life. The campaign has some great set pieces, but the story doesn't really stand out and feels kind of predictable. Multiplayer is fun with a good mix of maps and weapons, but I did feel like it plays it a bit safe without introducing anything too new. Even with these issues, it's a solid shooter that fans of the series will enjoy. It's one of those games that's easy to pick up but hard to put down.
This moment forth, thou art arisen. Charge and all.
Dragon's Dogma 2 is an action RPG where you create your own character and explore a huge open world full of monsters, quests, and secrets. It's got a really cool pawn system where you can create companions to fight alongside you and even share them with other players online. The combat is really fun and dynamic. There are lots of different classes and abilities to choose from, and it feels great to take down a giant monster. I loved exploring the world, discovering new locations, and meeting all sorts of interesting characters. The story is pretty engaging too. It's a classic fantasy tale with some interesting twists. If I had to mention a little something negative, maybe the graphics aren't the absolute best, but they're still pretty good. But overall, it's a fantastic RPG, and if you're a fan of open-world games with great combat and a lot of freedom, then I definitely recommend it.
Think.
I think I got this.
So I finally got around to playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I was blown away by how much fun it is. The world is absolutely gorgeous, exploring it is a real treat. Combat is super engaging.
Let's finish this.
Switching between characters pulling off these awesome combos makes every fight exciting. The story is captivating too. Seeing these familiar characters again with some new twists is just fantastic. They really captured the magic of the original while adding their own spin, which is really cool. Even the side quests are enjoyable. They actually add to the world and the story instead of just being boring filler. Now, it's not perfect, of course. I did have a couple of minor issues. The camera can be a little wonky sometimes, especially in close quarters, and I did run into a few little glitches here and there. Plus, some of the dialogue can be a bit cheesy at times. But honestly, even with those small problems, I thoroughly enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's a fantastic game, and I would definitely recommend it to any fan of RPGs or anyone just looking for a really fun adventure.
Bring it!
Nine Sols is an action platformer set in a world inspired by Asian mythology, and right from the start, the hand-drawn visuals pulled me in with how beautiful and detailed everything looks. The combat is really fun with its mix of sword fighting and deflecting enemy attacks that feel super satisfying when timed right, although some of the platforming sections can be pretty frustrating because they need really precise jumps. And while the story is interesting and adds a lot of depth to the game, it does feel a bit slow in some parts. But overall, if you're into challenging combat and a unique, beautiful world, this game is definitely worth checking out.
Get some! Get some!
Helldivers 2 is a co-op tactical shooter that challenges you and your friends to survive intense battles against alien enemies on different planets. The game's strategic elements, like managing friendly fire and coordinating attacks, really make it stand out. The chaotic combat and emphasis on teamwork are great. Though I did find some of the missions to be a bit too similar, and the difficulty could be quite punishing at times. Even with these issues, it's still a fun game if you're into cooperative shooters that require good communication and strategy. It's the type of game that feels incredibly rewarding when you finally beat a tough mission.
The place is coming down!
Okay.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is this exciting action-adventure game where you step into the shoes of Indy himself and go on a globe-trotting quest to uncover a mysterious ancient artifact. It's got everything you'd expect from an Indiana Jones game: thrilling chases, challenging puzzles, and plenty of exploration. I really love the way they captured the spirit of the movies. The game feels very authentic, and it's full of those classic indie moments. The combat is fun too. It's a mix of brawling and using your whip, and it feels really satisfying.
Yeah? Well, I should have done a lot of things.
The story is engaging. It's a classic Indiana Jones adventure with plenty of twists and turns. If I had to mention a small downside, maybe it's that some of the puzzles can be a little bit easy, but honestly, that didn't detract too much from my enjoyment. Overall, it's a fantastic game, and if you're a fan of Indiana Jones or action-adventure games in general, then I highly recommend it.
What?
Metaphor Refantazio is a really neat RPG where you're unraveling a big mystery in a fantasy world with a cool mix of turn-based combat and some unique twists. The art style is really eye-catching. It's very distinct and gives the game a lot of charm. The combat is strategic and enjoyable. There are loads of different characters you can recruit, and each one has their own special skills, so you can really build your dream team. I had a blast trying out different party combinations and figuring out the best ways to beat the bad guys. The story is also pretty gripping with lots of twists and turns that kept me guessing. If I had to point out a little something, maybe it's that the game can be a bit tough. Sometimes some of the boss fights are pretty challenging, but honestly, that just made it feel even better when I finally won. All in all, it's a great RPG, and if you're into games with a good story, fun combat, and a unique vibe, then you should definitely check it out.
Mark this. He's not just any monkey. He's a monkey of merit.
Black Myth: Wukong is an action RPG based on the classic Chinese legend of the Monkey King, and it's absolutely fantastic. The visuals are mind-blowing, the environments are so detailed, and the character models are just stunning. The combat is really deep and challenging. You have to master different techniques and abilities to defeat the various enemies, and it feels so rewarding. I loved exploring the world and discovering all the hidden secrets. The story is really engaging too. It's a great take on the classic tale. Honestly, I don't really have any major complaints. Maybe if I had to nitpick, I'd say some of the boss fights are incredibly difficult, but even that adds to the sense of accomplishment. It's a truly special game, and it's definitely one of the best action RPGs I've played in a long time. Silent Hill 2 Remake is a survival horror game that reimagines the classic with stunning graphics and a haunting atmosphere. It stays true to the original story, which is one of the best in horror gaming. I loved how they kept the creepy vibe while updating the visuals to look more realistic. The sound design is fantastic, making every moment feel tense and unsettling. The puzzles are well designed and add to the mystery. My only complaint is that the combat still feels stiff and a bit outdated. But overall, it's a great remake that fans of the series will really appreciate. It's definitely worth playing if you want a chilling experience. Rise of the Ronin drops you into a really vibrant historical Japan, and it's a huge open-world action experience. The combat is just fantastic. You can switch between different sword styles so easily, and it looks amazing. Though the story can feel a bit cluttered, like it's trying to cram too much in. Exploring the world is a blast, but some of the side quests are a bit repetitive. Still, when you're in a big fight and you're pulling off those awesome sword moves, that's where the game really shines. Honestly, if you love samurai action, this game is definitely worth checking out. Tekken 8 is the latest fighting game in the long-running series, delivering intense one-on-one battles with stunning visuals and a refined combat system. I was really impressed with how fluid and responsive the controls are, making each fight feel fast and satisfying, and the new gameplay mechanics add more depth without being too complicated. The character selection is fantastic, mixing returning favorites with some interesting newcomers, each with unique fighting styles. However, I did feel that the story mode was a bit short and could have been more engaging, but the multiplayer is where this game truly shines, offering a competitive and fun experience. Space Marine 2 is all about brutal third-person combat where you play as a Space Marine fighting hordes of Tyranids. It's a non-stop action game, and it really captures that feeling of being an unstoppable force of nature. The combat is visceral and satisfying. You can chain together melee attacks and ranged weapons, and it all feels really impactful. I loved the variety of weapons and abilities. There's a lot of different ways to customize your playstyle. The game looks great too, the graphics are really impressive, and the environments are detailed. It can get a little repetitive at times. You are fighting a lot of the same enemies over and over again, and sometimes the story missions can feel a little bit linear. But if you're looking for a game where you can just unleash a ton of firepower and smash some bugs, then you'll probably have a good time with this one. It's definitely a fun and action-packed experience. I gave Stellar Blade a try recently, and as an action RPG, it really shines with its fast-paced combat and gorgeous futuristic world. The gameplay is smooth, and pulling off combos feels great, especially against the challenging bosses that keep you on your toes. The visuals are top-notch, making every fight and every location look amazing. But I did feel like the story was pretty basic, and the characters weren't all that interesting, which was a bit of a letdown. Even with that, the combat and graphics are so well done that it's still a fun experience. It's definitely a solid pick for anyone who loves action-packed games with stunning visuals. If you're looking for exciting combat, this game nails it.
Welcome to Drawbridge, Sam, and to the GHV Magellan, our mobile base of operations. Come on.
Sam, would you mind if I joined you?
Humor him. His knowledge and experience will probably come in handy down the road.
Death Stranding 2 is an action-adventure game that continues the story of Sam Porter Bridges, taking players on a new journey across harsh environments like Mexico and Australia, where survival and building connections remain central themes. The game's graphics are incredibly realistic, making every desert and mountain feel alive. And the gameplay now includes new ways to travel like monorails and the challenge of changing weather that can affect how you move. Combat has gotten deeper with more enemy types and new tools that let you choose between stealth, fighting, or avoiding conflict altogether, while the story introduces new characters and political tensions that add layers of mystery to the experience.
Please understand, Sam.